In June of 2016, I completed my master's degree in organizational dynamics from the University of Oklahoma in Tulsa. And then I finished my term as student government president, and then I quit my job in corporate human resources as I went to become the only American, the only female, the only Christian, and the only blonde academy football coach, or soccer coach, for the Adidas Game Day Academies and Paris Saint-Germain PSG Academies in Bangalore, India, to coach widely the first generation of athletes on both an elite and a grassroots level. I coached about a dozen teams, mostly boys with a few girls, ages 6 to 16. And as I got off the plane, I discovered that our team was operating under a pretty strict command-obey dynamic. See, oftentimes our players would come to sessions and they would stand in a line, kick a ball, wait for instruction. And they would come to our sessions and they would stand in a line, kick a ball, wait for direction. And they would stand in a line, kick a ball, wait for feedback. And while this may have been an efficient way to teach a skill, in a game scenario it was a disaster. Oftentimes our players within the course of a game would kick the ball perfectly, exactly the way that we taught them. And then, before the play was even over, they would turn to the sideline to the coach for further direction and feedback. See, they had mastered the task, but they didn't quite understand how it applied to the overall game scenario. And so this is a story of how we transformed our team from lines and laps and lectures to one of creativity, collaboration, and captainship. And the first thing that we had to do was stop. Really, stop. We stopped commanding the how and started clearly communicating the what and the why. So we clearly communicated our what and our why. Rather than having our players come, stand in a line, kick a ball, wait for instruction, we provided challenges. So from here, kick the ball to knock down 3 cones. Because in order to do that, you're going to have to kick with power and precision. And in a game scenario, whenever you pass, whenever you kick, whenever you shoot, you're also going to have to kick with power and precision. From here, we clearly communicated what we were doing and why that was important. And while there were aspects of the game and aspects of football that were pretty concrete, we found that there were 4 major opportunities for ownership. And these 4 opportunities for ownership oftentimes make up the unique aspect of a team. It allows teams to be uniquely better. Oftentimes, these 4 opportunities for ownership can make up the competitive advantage of an organization. And these 4 opportunities for ownership lie within the processes, the methods, the projects, and the roles. See, we had opportunities for ownership within our processes. What was our process of knocking down those 3 cones? Were we going to aim for the first cone first or the third cone? What was our process of knocking down the cones? What is our process of communication? What is your process in your stand-ups, the process in your meetings? What is the process to process paperwork, to enact change? What are ways that you can be uniquely better and take ownership in your processes? We had ownership within our methods. How were we kicking the ball? Were we kicking the ball with our infoot, with our laces, with our left foot, with our right? What were our methods? What are your methods of ideation, your methods of design, your methods of development? What are ways that you can take ownership to be uniquely better within your team? We also had opportunities for ownership within our projects. Now, this could be a grand project such as a match or a tournament, but it also could be projects within our training, such as picking up the water bottles, leading the team in warm-ups, leading the team in sprints. We had projects and opportunities for ownership within our training in which our players could be uniquely better and add unique value. We also had opportunities for ownership within our roles. Now, roles do not always have to be position. See, you do not have to be in the position of a leadership role to embody the role of a leader. See, the role that you play within a team could be the leader, could be the devil's advocate, could be the gatekeeper, could be the jokester or the comic relief. What is the role that you are playing within your team to add unique value to the team? I'll take it a step further. What role does your team play in your department to add unique value? What unique value does your department add to your organization? What role do they play? What role does your organization play in the industry, within your industry? And where can you add unique value? And within these 4 opportunities for ownership, we found that there were 4 major opportunities for our teams to clearly know the what and the why. We clearly communicated that, and then have opportunities for ownership within the how. Opportunities for ownership. Now, as we had these opportunities for ownership, it was, again, very important that we first communicated that what and that why. One of my favorite authors, Dr. Mark Rutland, writes that all great communication boils down to the right message at the right time and delivered in the right way to the right audience. Let me say that a slightly different way. It's the right message delivered in the right way to the right audience at the right time. And these 4 major pillars of communication can act as a guideline whenever we are clearly communicating our what and our why, and clearly defining our expectations. That way we can provide those opportunities for ownership within the how. See, it's important if we want to create an environment, if we want to cultivate a team that is more creative, that we create an environment where we have opportunities for ownership, to experiment, to try, to practice our muscle of creative problem solving. The way that we can do that is to lay the parameters of it, clearly identifying what our expectations are between our what and our why, and then having those opportunities for ownership within our processes, our methods, our projects, and our roles. Now, we didn't just want to create an opportunity, these opportunities for ownership or these opportunities for creativity, and not really know what our purpose was for being creative. One of my colleagues, Jim Belfour, he actually states that, we can be creative for creative sake, but if we haven't really identified the problem, then the creative answer that we come up with might not be the solution that we are seeking. See, if we're not asking the right questions to identify the right problem that we are seeking to solve, then we might come up with some creative answers, but it might not be the solution that we are seeking. Now, there are 3 major types of problems, or 3 major types of challenges that teams can face. And these 3 different types of challenges that teams face warrant for slightly different approaches to our creativity and our creative problem solving. And by clearly identifying what those challenges are, it will allow us to adjust our approach to be catered in the way that we are solving our problems. The first type of challenges that teams oftentimes face is to fix an existing problem, or to fix an existing system, fix an existing process, fix an existing product. This is where you already have something in place, but it actually needs creative problem solving for fixing. In this type of problem solving, in this type of creativity, oftentimes teams will do some sort of causal analysis and truly look to see what the problem actually is, to make sure that the solutions that are cultivated are actually the solutions for this specific type of challenge. And so fixing an existing problem is the first, or fixing an existing product or process or system is the first type of innovation problem solving that teams can face. This, within a coaching session or within a sports session, could be if we need to make a major adjustment in the course of a game to better match up to our opponent. This is fixing an existing process that we have, and so we're doing a causal analysis. The next type of system, or the next type of problem solving or creative problem solving that teams can face, is to improve an existing process, product, or system. To improve an existing product, process, or system. In this type of creativity, in this type of problem solving, oftentimes teams will do more of a value engineering. They'll do more of a value analysis. Whereas beforehand it was more of a causal analysis to pinpoint where the problem was, this could be that there isn't really a problem, but we want to continuously improve to stay competitive, to stay relevant in the market, and to continuously improve and continuously develop. So in this causal value analysis, in this value engineering, we really ask the questions of what we are doing well now. What are some good things about the product that we currently have? And what are some opportunities for us to improve and develop and grow? It's for this reason that we have the iPhone 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have various different updates because the teams are busy at work looking to improve an existing system, product, or process. So this is a different type of problem solving or opportunity for creativity within teams. Within football, this was an opportunity for us to see an area in which we say are kicking the ball well or moving the ball well, but we can improve even more to stay competitive, to stay relevant in the game by continuously improving the way that we are moving the ball and the way that we are scoring goals and winning games. So this is the next type of problem solving, an opportunity to be creative within your team. The third and the final type of problem solving that many teams face is for new types of innovation. So new innovation is whenever there is not an existing system, there is not an existing product. And so it's really more of an external look rather than internally at current processes and products. And so it's really asking more questions of what are areas that we can improve within more society. It's more of an external look. And so all of these are three different types of innovation that you can have within your team. But all of this began by us, again, going back to the board and asking, what do we want to do? Why is it important? And what are our opportunities for ownership? Are we fixing an existing process or system? Are we improving? Or are we creating something entirely new? And as we were working with our teams, we found that our players went from standing in a line, kicking a ball, and waiting for instruction to really thinking for themselves and coming up with their own innovative approaches. Now, from this new environment, we found that our players were experimenting. They were trying new things. They were gaining confidence. They were seeing how their individual kicks were applying to the overall game scenario. What we also found is that with an opportunity for ownership also comes a greater opportunity for conflict. But it also comes a greater opportunity for conversation over complacency. I'll say that again. An opportunity for ownership also comes a greater opportunity for conflict, but also comes a greater opportunity for conversation over complacency. From challenges like stand here, kick the ball, and knock down those 3 cones, I saw some of the most heated debates I'd ever seen amongst 7-year-olds, trying to decide if the best way to kick the ball was with the infoot or with the laces. In reality, both ways were right. And so our team members were actually able to expand their toolbox of resources from one way to kick the ball to at least 2. And so our team members were able to have these debates and then walk away with more ways to kick the ball. Now, we didn't just want to create an environment where there would more than likely be more conflict and not actually equip our team players to handle that conflict in a healthy manner, in a way that would encourage growth and development and those conversations. And so, one thing that we did is actually look at the team and have a snapshot of team dynamics. Now, we did this one way within football, but I want to give you some tools that you can use within your organization, within your work teams. See, one thing that we do is actually take a snapshot of team dynamics to actually predict where conflict will more than likely happen within a team. You might think, Amber, how can I predict when conflict is going to happen? Well, there's actually a few ways that you can be very specific in predicting this conflict. And personally, I do this at the beginning of any project. I do this whenever I come into a new team. I also look at this whenever I'm getting ready to work with a new client. And so I really take a look at team dynamics. And there's a lot of different tools. I own a company called the Pathways Group, and so we have a lot of different tools that we can use to assess team dynamics. But a simple one that you can do today is I actually have teams pull out a note card, a simple 3x5 card, and on the front side, write areas in which they have strengths and feel strong, that they can provide value to the team. And then on the opposite side of the card, I have the team members write areas or write some skills, some areas of knowledge that you really hope that somebody else on the team is strong. I'll give you an example. Whenever I do this activity, I write that I am very much a visionary, big picture type of person. I can see the forest, I can see the vision, and I can approach these new visions with enthusiasm and gusto. However, on the opposite side of the card, I write that I really hope that there is somebody on our team that is detail-oriented, that can see the logistics, that is great at helping with the follow-through, because these are all areas in which I know that I would like someone to compliment me and my vision, because I cannot do this on my own. We can complement one another. And at the same time, while we will complement one another, we will also more than likely have a little bit of conflict. And by assessing these types of very basic team dynamics, it doesn't have to be a full personality test. This is a 2-minute activity that you can do within your team. But by having this type of quick dynamic assessment, I'm able to go into a proactive conversation. And whether or not, if I know there's a specific area, again, with someone that is very detail-oriented, I can have a very catered conversation. But I go into a proactive conversation and I say, hey, at some point in this project, there's going to be conflict. At some point in this relationship, there's going to be tension. There's going to be heat. And so while our emotions are low now, let us proactively discuss how we are going to handle that situation when it inevitably arises. And this does two really powerful things. First, it normalizes conflict. Oftentimes, we don't want to admit that there has been conflict. A lot of times we don't want to confront conflict because we don't want to admit that it is there. But by having a proactive conversation, you're stating that not only does conflict happen within a team, but we actually expect it to happen. The second thing that a proactive conversation does is it creates a game book, a game plan. It creates a playbook. It creates a script. And so whenever you go into that conversation, whenever there is tension, whenever there is heat, you already have a script that you can use to address the conflict, to address the heat. And both parties already know what those expectations are. And so teams are able to address that conflict in a more healthy manner, reach a resolution, and truly move on and move forward and to progress and develop as a team and within the relationship. Again, I use this at the beginning of a project. I use this tool at the beginning of a client relationship whenever I take on new clients. I also do this whenever I'm coming in with a new team. And this helps to overcome one of the greatest barriers, one of the greatest obstacles to giving great feedback and great communication and great relationship building, and that is the fundamental attribution error. Now, the fundamental attribution error is really just a fancy way of saying that so often we judge other people by their behaviors, while we judge ourselves by our intentions. It's for this reason that we, again, judge other people by their behaviors, and we judge ourselves by our intention. And we see this within the workplace often. I was actually working with one team, and there was a person that was coming to meetings. They were actually coming to remote meetings, and they were coming to in-person meetings beforehand, and they were seen as very abrupt and abrasive. Some team members even said malicious. And they loathed it whenever this team member would come to team meetings. And so I asked the team member, I had the team member come in and I said, hey, what is your intention whenever you speak up at meetings? And this team member's intent was to be passionate, was to be persuasive, was to be enthusiastic. And so in this scenario, we actually had a knowledge gap between behavior and intention. And so we were able to approach this from a coaching standpoint to bring the two closer together. See, within our football teams, we could not just have some team members be innovative and be creative. We had team members that were discovering different ways to kick the ball, and that was great because a single team member could not win the match and could not win the tournament and could not win the seasons for everybody. It truly was a team effort. And this is important because it teaches us a valuable lesson. If you can achieve your dreams all on your own, then you're probably not dreaming big enough. If you want to do something bigger than yourself, then you have to include more than yourself. And while it was important that we cultivated a culture of creativity and individual thought, we also needed to cultivate a culture of great collaboration. See, at first, we taught our players how to have a mind of their own and think individual thoughts. Now, we had, and to really have their own voice. We really tried to emphasize to our players to have their own voice, to speak up, to cultivate great ideas, and to share them with the team. Next, it was important that we impressed upon our team members and that we taught our team members to have a voice. But now it was important that they had the wisdom to listen and to truly collaborate and truly work as a team with their other teammates. And so, in order to do that, we worked to have a culture of collaboration and have meaningful conversations, whether that be proactive, addressing conflict, addressing ideas, and looking at our team members' intentions and behaviors as we all came together to create a culture of meaningful collaboration. I love the story of the two team members that had two different ways of kicking the ball, because neither one was wholly right. See, in reality, they were both right. And whenever we address collaboration, it's important to come at the situation and come at the conversation, not with the idea of convincing somebody that you are the only person that is right. In fact, the goal of these conversations is actually to increase understanding. With our team members, both team members had correct ways to kick the ball. It just depended on the situation on which one would be a better choice of how to kick the ball. In the same regard, whenever we are working with our team, within our teams and having conversations, the goal is not to be the right person in the room. It's the one to have the understanding. I love Stephen Covey. He actually writes that first we must seek to understand before we seek to be understood. And so we worked with our teams to have great conversations and collaboration. And through this process, we first gave our team a voice, then taught them then impressed upon them the wisdom to listen. And all of this really reminded me of one of my favorite psychologists, Bruce Tuckman, who writes about the different stages and the cycle of a team. See, all teams go through a cycle. See, first, teams come together and they form. In the course of the football team, we all came together at the beginning of the season and we formed as a team. And then we went through this storming phase. And these are the first two things that we talked about, of establishing what our approaches were, what our methods were. We identified what we were doing, why it was important. We identified our 4 opportunities for ownership within our processes and our methods and our projects and our roles. We established expectations of how we were going to work together as a team, how we were going to communicate clearly and concisely the right message, the right way, at the right time to the right audience. And as we were asking these questions, it's important to note that the performance can sometimes take a little bit of a dip as we are asking these questions and storming as we are establishing our norms. But these first 3 phases of development are so critical within a team. So we formed, we stormed to establish certain norms, and as we took a dip, it allowed us to catapult to a higher level than where we started in our performance. And so we went from forming, storming, norming, and then performing, so that we could go to our highest level. And it's important to note that this is actually an incomplete chart, as you might know. See, there is one more phase of Tuckman's model of a team. That last phase is adjourning. See, in the adjourning phase, we actually have this phase at the end of a milestone. It could be at the end of a game, at the end of a tournament, at the end of a season. For you, it could be at the end of a project, at the end of a quarter, at the end of the year. Address some sort of milestone within your team to have an adjourning session. And in this season, we ask ourselves, or in this stage, we get together as a team and we ask ourselves two very important questions. What are we doing well? And what can we do just a little bit better? And it's in this stage that we truly ask ourselves these questions so that we can come here and cut through the norms to re-enter into a new storming phase, forming or storming stage, to establish better norms so that we can then perform at an even higher level. And every time that we go through these feedback loops, we position ourselves in a place to increase our performance. Now, as I stated before, we were giving our players a voice. And as a coach and as a leader on the team, I didn't want to be the only voice on the team. I oftentimes didn't want to be the loudest voice on the team. And whenever we were leading ourselves in these questions of establishing what we were doing, why it was important, looking at our opportunities for ownership, establishing better norms to increase our performance, we were improving as a team. But I didn't want to be the only one asking these questions of how we can improve and how we can really champion our team's success and champion one another's success. I recall whenever I first began coaching on our team, the very, very first day of practice, I had several of the players come up and they asked, "Miss Ember, can I be the captain today?" And I said, "Sure, you can be the captain. If you can tell me what the job of a captain is. What are the responsibilities of a captain?" And in a command-obey dynamic, where you come into practice and you're told what to do and you wait for instruction, then the idea is that if you obey and 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 you obey long enough, then eventually you will get to be the commander. And so our players would come and they would say, "Miss Ember, ma'am, a captain is the person who tells others what to do." And I would say, no, that is not our definition of a captain within our academy. And so we actually paused the position of a captain for just a short time as we were working on the character of a leader and the character of a captain within our academy. And see, it's important to note that whether it's Captain America, Captain Underpants, or Captain Crunch, a captain can have a lot of different definitions. In the same regard, leadership, or the role of a leader, can mean a lot of things within your organization. And so we had to actually spend the time to discuss and to really define what captainship or what leadership meant within our organization. And so, again, I didn't want to be the only voice on the field. There needed to be other people that were leading and guiding and helping and championing our team's success. And so, we began building the character of the leaders within our team. And a few months down the road, we got the team together and I came up, many of our coaches, we came together and we had our definition of what a captain would be defined as within our academy. And so we said that a captain was somebody that did their very best every day and that helped their team, and that helped their teammates do their best every day as well. They put the team before themselves. Now, I'll admit this is not a great definition. It's not an all-encompassing definition, but it was the definition that we had for our team. It was something that we all had agreed upon, and it was something that we were defining within our organization. Now, you can imagine as we shared this definition with our teammates and with our players, there was shock. Miss Amber, you mean that I still have to listen to my players? I still have to champion their success? I still have to help my team members? And I can't just tell them what to do? Miss Amber, ma'am, I've already been doing that. See, we had been training the character of our captains and of our leaders from the very beginning. And so, while there was a bit of shock, there was also a bit of acceptance of, oh, you mean I, this whole time, had been preparing for the role of a leader and a role of a captain, and I didn't even know it. And see, from this, our players were able to step into that leadership role. First, we trained the character of a leader, the character of our captain, and then we taught them about the position, not the other way around. And so our players were able to step into that role and truly guide our team and lead our team through these stages of development and these stages of growth and truly champion our team's success. And it's from here that we really allowed our team members and created an environment in which our team members were able to be genuine, great captains within our teams. So, first, we helped our teams and we transformed the environment by creating a place where our team members could be more creative by clearly communicating the what and the why, and then providing opportunities for ownership within the how, within their processes, methods, projects, and roles. So that way our players could be more creative and flex that creative muscle and that creative problem solving, whether that be fixing an existing process, improving an existing process, product, or system, or creating something entirely new. We also equipped our players to handle the conflict that would inevitably arise as they were having conversations over complacency within their teams. And so we equipped our players with the tools and the skills that they needed to engage in those conversations in a powerful, healthy, and meaningful way. And then, as we were going through these stages of development, we then were able to equip our team to not only have myself lead the team through these stages of development, but in fact, we were equipping the team to lead one another within that powerful decision making. And from here, our team was able to perform at a higher level with more confidence, with more creativity, with more innovation, with more clarity and more precision and more power within the team. One last story. See, whenever I was working in India as a football coach, I recall I had a young lad named Achintya. Now, Achintya was 6 years old, and he was so excited for his first day of football. He came running out onto the field, and he began yelling, "Pass! Pass! Pass!" And I noticed that Achintya was yelling pass even when the other team had the ball. And Achintya was yelling pass even whenever he was miles away from the action. And Achintya was yelling pass even whenever he had the ball. And so he was running with the ball, going, "Pass! Pass! Pass!" And so I asked Achintya, I said, "Achintya, Why are you yelling pass? And he looked up at me and he said, Mesamba, ma'am, I do not know what it means. I only know it is a football word. Sometimes I hear leaders sound a little bit like my friend Achinthia, yelling, proactive conversation, opportunity for your ownership, communication, leadership, teamwork, we got this! Because we know these are really good words that can lead to big goals. But if we are in the wrong position, if we're miles away from the action, or even if we have the ball and we don't know in which direction we're going, then saying these words are not only ineffective, but they're actually detrimental to the overall communication within our team. Eventually, the team is going to tune you out. But if we first take the opportunity to clearly communicate our what and our why, and then provide opportunities for ownership within the how, within our processes and our methods and our projects and our roles. And if we take the opportunity to first equip our team to engage in powerful and healthy conversations by looking at our team dynamics and having proactive conversations, by confronting the fundamental attribution error, by being intentional about building relationships and genuine relationships within our teams. If we first take the opportunity to look at our opportunities for growth within our organizations by forming and storming and norming and performing and adjourning within our team, and we clearly identify what leadership is within our teams, and we prepare them for the character of a leader before the position that they will go into, and then, and only then, will we truly be in a position to yell pass, to receive the ball, to move forward, and to score really big goals. My name is Amber Vanderburg, and I am the founder of the Pathways Group, and we work with teams all over the world to help teams improve their goals. And what we do is we look at these methods and we repeat them over and over and over again. These are ways that we can help create an environment of more creativity, collaboration, and true captainship within our organizations. Thank you so much.